All right, I have been meaning to do this for a while. It's a anxiety video check-in, which is it's not necessarily I'm going to be anxious, though I feel kind of anxious now that I'm making the video, about just a check-in video of like, how am I doing? Where's my head at? Um, oh, what's preying on my mind? I know what's preying on my mind right at this moment. And I can't share it all with you because it doesn't entirely do with me. We have a list going in the house, which is things that I need to help someone with, and it's like the list has been made, and we haven't started it yet. But it's something that, yeah, we need to get started on. It's important, very important to the person I love, and it's important to me because this is the person I love, and I want them to get going. And I feel a bit of anxiety, a bit of tentativeness about that. I think it feels overwhelming, which is why I've been asked to help, because it is kind of, the list seems kind of overwhelming when you take it as a giant whole. But that's the good thing with lists, is it's like, no, we're not here to do the entire list. We're here to go pick one thing on it, and then let's break that down into some component steps and work on one of those component steps and do it in a very kind of just systematically, just chip off a little bit, just chip off a little bit. And before you know it, you'll have gotten a good hunk of the list done. And then you'll start looking at, oh, I got this bit of the list done. And then, oh, I got this much more. And think, oh, we only have final thing to do. So that's funny. What immediately comes to mind with that is that. So the hardest step often with stuff like that is just taking the first step. We actually have taken the first step, which is the list has been made. And I didn't actually have anything in that, but the list actually needs to get refined a bit more into its component steps. So that would actually be not a bad thing to work on today if the person I love wants to do that. We'll see. We'll see. I'm yeah, it's anyone who's watched any of these videos knows who I'm talking about. But this is my way of trying to keep things slightly discreet in that manner, because it's talking about my own anxieties is much better than that. I guess in my own anxieties, I had to note an error that wasn't my own at work, and that was good. I mean, I followed all the procedures and all that stuff. It just feels shitty. It feels shitty having to point out somebody else's error at work. Now, the good thing about this is it's like, mistakes happen. Everybody at work, everyone makes errors. That's why we have checkers. That's why there's a system set up. And it's not like you made an error, you're going to get retribution. It's like, no, you made an error. Now let's try and figure out how that doesn't happen again, or we mitigate it. How can we make sure it doesn't happen that much? Because we are all human beings. We're always handling stuff, and just by sheer volume, it's going to come up. It'll come up. It's just to try and mitigate it and to try and make it as the least amount of fuck uppery as possible, as being professionals about it. And being professional about something is just sort of accepting your mistakes and then learning from it and moving on. I think my anxiety comes from the idea that, while I would probably go, oh shit, I made the mistake, damn it. Oh, how can I make it better and stuff like that. I have the boogeyman inside my thing of someone who is angry at me for pointing out their mistake, and why didn't I just cover it up or something like that, which would be compromising my own integrity that way. You know, this was one of these things of, there's different types of mistakes, documentation mistakes, stuff like that, which I actually have tried to kind of just quietly pass that on to the things I'm but there's other mistakes you have to address immediately, and that's for the welfare of the residents there. And I would hope that all my fellow coworkers probably do feel the same way. I'm quite sure that they do. And if you got someone who didn't, well, it'd be like you're in the wrong profession, you're in the wrong house, especially with the manager who very much comes down on wanting to run a very professional, thorough uh, um, place workplace, which I do appreciate. I do appreciate because I do strive to be as good as possible. So yeah, I've conjured in my head the asshole coworker who's just like, no, just cover it up and don't talk about it. Let's hide it and kind of all that stuff and fuck the residents. But it's like that coworker does not exist, does not work at the house. Hooray, that is good. I don't have that issue, and that would be a whole different anxiety video if I did. So that would be my next check-in point with anxiety. What would be here? We'll do a number 3 and we'll call it a night because that's good. It's interesting. That this is the thing I do find about anxiety video check-ins. It's like, oh, I have nothing to say, and then I start listing off things. I'll do one more, which is more nonsense based on YouTube, which I already did. Actually, I did a long video on this already, so I'll just note that I did a dark video yesterday. So my dark video for the 14th, I did a long discussion on Vera Wild of the Council of Geeks and her discussion on the sort of roiling mix of jealousy and insecurity and things like that can come from watching dressing your peers work, and how a lot of times it's one of these things where we talk about stuff publicly. So you're not just having engaging with somebody else's work, you may find yourself wanting to then talk about that and being afraid of that, afraid about like what that's going to reveal about me. Which her very natural for a YouTuber response was, okay, I'm going to talk about it publicly before I've even engaged with the work, because this doesn't actually have to do with that fellow YouTuber's work. It's got to do with my relationship with this weird stew of social media, of show business and social media, which is YouTube, which a lot of people, even if you're someone like me who is making videos that maybe like 5 people are watching, if that, especially on this channel, by design, that you get this weird kind of social kind of professional hobbyist enthusiast for me, kind of thing where you get resentments and you get jealousy, and it's really corrosive. And she talked about how she deals with it, which a lot of the times is just I avoid watching stuff that kind of too directly overlaps with me, because I just go into critic mode, I go into self-critic mode, I go into that really dark, nasty place where I'm jealous, and I mean, she doesn't, I don't think as much as her, but for myself projecting in, it's like feeling jealousy or feeling resentment, um, that everyone likes this person and nobody likes me, and why are they so much better at it, or oh, they're not that good at it, but wait, why are they so more successful than I am at it, and kind of and all this kind of horrible bullshit that has got nothing to do with the other person. It's all coming from within you. Except, and this was a really good video to remind me yet again that there is a certain kind of just a structural thing built in to a place like YouTube and other kind of social media things, where our need to be loved, our anxiety, our wanting to be popular, and all like that is weaponized against us to use for us to be on these sites, and very much has been a theme of me being on the site, is trying to figure out ways to do it that it isn't corrosive, that I don't feel shitty and horrible about myself. And very much to the point where I I live now on this channel, PR 5147. I live here as a private reader. And then I visit now, at least I have for the last couple of months. I just visit BookTube, my BookTube channel. Maybe I'll publish. I'm gonna try and publish something. That'll be okay. I'll have one more anxiety thing, and then I'll stop. I visit BookTube, and then I come back and I live here because I can live here just kind of like relaxing, using YouTube as kind of entertainment, as interest and stuff like that. And then I can express myself as much as I'm going to express myself on this channel on the other thing where it's, I guess, a part of some kind of a complex web of being with other people where unfortunately it's not the other people, but it's myself and my interaction with the structure of YouTube really kind of gets, it's not great for me. It's not great for me. Makes me feel anxious. It makes me feel shitty about myself. But at the same time, it releases some kind of a creative self-expression that I like to do. And yeah, it's a really odd thing. And I've worked out kind of what seems very odd of having this private channel, which, because it's so private, like I would never use this channel to comment on a video, because I know from experience that oftentimes you go, oh, they made an interesting comment, let me go take a look at their channel. I don't want anyone to find me that way. I don't want anyone to find me on here. This is private reader channel. The few odd, I actually have got 10 subscribers on here. I'm hoping that that 9 at least of them are bots. But it's one of those things of like, I value just having this just channel that's just me basically just chatting to myself, and I don't engage whatever that that really bizarre part of my that anxious, that jealous, that kind of not great part of myself, which I don't think I express on that channel. And I'm not like some asshole who's leaving horrible comments to people on that comment. I try and hold myself as lightly and as positively as I can on that channel, but it just still kind of churns in my head, and I can't seem to stop it. And I think a part of it is just the structure of how YouTube is, and a part of it is how I am. And I think that that's a part of what makes YouTube run, to be honest, for a greater and for, you know, for a good hunk of people. Not everybody. I'm not saying that like my psychology is everyone's psychology. Sure, some people can just take it and leave it, take it or leave it. I see a lot of people who come on and try a channel for a while and then they leave. And I think that there must be a hunk of people there who's just like, it's too much. It plugs in too much, and that I've been able to kind of negotiate and tinker and fail so spectacularly is the reason why I've been able to kind of keep going on this. So that was a really good video. That was a really good video to listen to someone who was making a living. Vera Wild, Council of Geeks. That's how she is supporting herself. She has a Patreon, and she says she's just able to make her bills. And I mean, the creator that she didn't want to watch is somebody who's a whole stratosphere or two above her in success, and in just technical stuff, and in complexity of what she's talking about. It's funny. That creator, I've watched a couple of the videos, but it's too much. It's too much for me in a couple of ways. Brilliant. I'm sure it's brilliant stuff, but it's just it's too much for me on probably an intellectual level as well as production level. I need that kind of this, just basically I'm a dude talking to the camera, or you know, a gender fluid person talking to the camera, which is what Vera Wild is. So it's it's interesting where you find what you find on the internet that really kind of speaks to you, and that draws you in, and it's yeah. So there's that. There is that. I guess, yeah, and I'll do a fourth anxiety thing, and then I promise, hopefully, I'll stop unless I uncover another one there, which is I put down for yesterday that I wanted to publish a video, and I was thinking maybe videos, but one of those videos I think was going to be a waffle video, which I filmed a version of, and it was like it was okay, but I don't think I want to. It was a little too rushed, and I don't think I want to put that out. But I also do have a video on a review of Daryl by Jackie S, where I think I do a fairly good job of explicating my understanding of the novel, which I'm quite prepared to think is completely boneheaded and wrong, but it's mine, which I kind of like. I kind of like. It's definitely it's a novel that it really interested me. But I do have a little bit of like, oh, do I really want to put out a video on on that channel? So I don't think it's like, well, the subject matter is fairly explicit. Daryl is a guy who's enjoys being cuckolded. That's his kink, and it's his journey to kind of being in an okay place, because he's not an okay place at the beginning. He self-harms, and he looks like he almost kills himself, but he comes to a better place, maybe a better place, in his view, a better place by the end. Whether he's completely fooling himself or not is up for thing, because I at first I thought that it's like, is this just a happy ending? Is this a bullshit happy ending? They went, no, Daryl believes it's a happy ending. I don't think the author does. I think the author is depicting what Daryl thinks, but it's not necessarily what's happening. It's a lot more complicated, and it's a book that's really stuck with me. So it's not that. It's the fact that I just haven't published a video in such a long time, and it's sort of like, oh, having a public video again. I mean, I'm probably, and it's a silly thing because I'm gritting my teeth. It's a review video. I have less than 70 subscribers. I have 66 or 69. It's been slowly dropping since I've been much less active. And this video is not going to light the world on fire. It is me here talking to the camera about this book. So maybe, if I'm lucky, 10 people will watch the review, or 5 people will watch the review, and another 5 will go, oh, if I read the book, maybe I'll watch the review, and then they'll forget about it. So I think I should just kind of like take a relax. You're not standing in a auditorium talking to 1,000 people. You're talking to like 5 people, and of those 5 people, 3 of them are probably gonna just like, it's not for me, and tune out of the video, and the other 2 will probably just let it play in the background, and then it'll autoplay to the next video that they have on their thing. So you can take a breath there, I guess. It's just like, it's not about them. It's not about the audience. I don't have an audience. I have a couple of kind people who watch the video every once in a while, and I can just relax. I'm probably as anonymous there as I am here. Almost as anonymous as I am here, where I think by sheer volume that I've probably, of those 10 subscribers, I'm sure, well, the bots are all listening rapidly to everything I have to say. Oh, and the YouTube bot that just checks to make sure I'm not spreading some kind of horrible stuff online, which, that's what it is. This is a private company that should maintain its standards, and for the most part, I'd like those standards to be maintained. It's just that's a whole different video, and I made that video a while ago, and let's not go back into it. So yes, I've gone off on a tangent. Let's try to get back on the thing, which is anxiety, which, that was my anxious laugh of, oh, I fucked up this video by spinning off into a thing. If I was actually editing stuff carefully, I would have to go back and chop that out and do the jump cut to spare my viewers. But there are no viewers. So yeah, that is my anxiety video check-in for this week. It's actually a good idea to do, and I will make a date to do it next week on January the 22nd, Chinese New Year, apparently. All right, I've been Jay. More videos later.